Enter the stillness. The world has made distraction normal. Noise has become the new comfort. And silence, the one thing that would save you, now feels unbearable. You wake up already fragmented. Notifications, opinions, impulses, all fighting for the same inch of your mind. You scroll, not because you care, but because you forgot how to stop. You've trained your brain to crave the next flash, the next hit, the next small spark of nothing. But what if I told you that everything you've ever wanted is hiding behind the boredom you keep escaping from? That focus isn't something you find, it's something you remember. When was the last time you sat in a room, alone, with no sound, no phone, no goal, just you? You call it doing nothing. But that stillness is the forge. It's where the mind hardens and the spirit begins to speak. Focus is not a skill, it's a state. It's the moment when noise dies and all that's left is what matters. You've been told that success comes from doing more, chasing more, adding more. But the truth is, focus begins with subtraction. It's not about how much you do, it's about how much you can remove. Remove the friction, remove the noise, remove the people who drain you. Every yes you give to distraction is a no to your future. And the cost of scattered energy is invisible until you wake up one day and realize you built nothing. There's a reason you feel restless when you slow down. The brain that's been fed constant stimulation starts to panic in silence. It's not withdrawal from entertainment, it's withdrawal from emptiness. And that's the first battle. You against the impulse to escape yourself. Sit in silence for 10 minutes and you'll meet the real you. The one buried under dopamine loops, fake urgency, and the illusion of productivity. That version of you doesn't crave more, it craves meaning. Focus starts there, not in the planner, not in the morning routine, but in the moment you decide to stop running. You think focus means control, but control is a symptom, not the source. Focus is surrender, surrendering to the task, to the breath, to the process. It's what athletes call the zone, what monks call presence, and what the obsessed call home. When you focus, time dissolves. There's no before or after, no measurement of progress, only movement. You become one with what you're doing. Thought and action merge. Effort disappears. And that's where power lives. Because a mind without distraction becomes a weapon. A quiet mind moves faster, thinks sharper, lasts longer. Focus is energy, compressed, aimed, and released. You don't lose to competition. You lose to noise. You lose to indecision, to fragmented effort, to 100 half-finished things. And every unfinished thing holds a piece of you hostage. So, simplify. Focus is the art of saying no, again and again, until only one thing remains. When your attention becomes singular, your results become inevitable. It's not talent that separates people, it's clarity. Ask yourself, what deserves my energy today? What deserves my silence? Because the two are the same. You've got one life, one timeline, and your focus decides what it becomes. Everything else is background noise. The mind you feed becomes the life you live, and the most dangerous thing you can ever do is let other people feed it for you. So for now, stop scrolling, stop chasing, stop comparing, breathe, center, focus, because this This moment right here is the first time you've actually been here in a long time. Part 2, the war for your attention. Focus isn't lost all at once. It's stolen, bit by bit, until you don't even realize it's gone. Every app, every feed, every notification was designed to win the war for your attention. And they're winning. You're not distracted by accident. You're distracted by design. Billions are spent every year to keep you scrolling, consuming, reacting. The modern world doesn't want you thinking deeply. It wants you predictable, impulsive, and dependent. It wants your time, because your time is profit. So when you feel that twitch to check your phone, that itch to open another tab, that's not weakness, that's programming. And every time you obey it, the code tightens. But here's the truth most won't admit. Focus isn't about resisting temptation. It's about removing it. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer options. Because willpower drains, systems don't. Sell your distractions. Delete the apps that own you. Walk without your phone. Work without music. Let silence rewire your nervous system. Most people are terrified of it because silence reveals how far they've drifted from themselves. You say you want peace, yet you cling to chaos. You want clarity, yet you keep noise within arm's reach. Focus begins when you cut the line between you and your distractions. The modern trap is the illusion of progress. You read motivational quotes, watch clips, take notes, plan endlessly, but you don't move. Consuming feels like becoming, but it's not. Learning without action is the new addiction. So ask yourself, are you learning to change or just learning to feel like you're changing? Because one feeds your ego, the other feeds your future. Focus is not about doing everything. It's about doing one thing right. It's better to master one task completely than half finish 1,000. Because divided attention builds shallow results. Concentrated effort builds legacy. You've been conditioned to think multitasking is strength. It's not. It's dilution. You don't burn brighter by scattering light. You burn brighter by becoming a laser. And when your mind becomes laser-like, you start to see what others miss. You begin to notice patterns, opportunities, gaps in the noise. The world slows down because you're no longer reacting. You're creating. The weak get distracted by everything. The strong obsess over one thing. They understand that focus multiplies everything it touches. A single hour of true focus can outperform 10 hours of scattered effort. That's why the obsessed win. It's not luck, it's locked attention. Every choice you make is a trade. You trade minutes for meaning, hours for outcomes. The question is, what are you trading for nothing? If you're tired of feeling behind, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you're leaking energy into things that don't matter. And when everything demands your attention, the things that truly matter starve. Guard your focus like it's gold, because it is. Every notification you ignore, every pointless conversation you walk away from, every useless debate you refuse to join, that's power being reclaimed. You can't control the world, but you can control what enters your mind. And that's where the real battle is fought. Most people think success requires more doing. It doesn't. It requires better aiming. Focus isn't about effort, it's about direction. And once you choose the right direction, momentum becomes effortless. You can't win this war by fighting every battle. You win by fighting the right one, the one that actually builds your future. Focus on that. Part 3. The mechanics of focus. Focus is not magic. It's mechanics. It's a structure, a system, a design of your own making. The problem is that most people are trying to focus in an environment built for distraction. You can't win a war surrounded by noise. You can't think deeply in chaos. And you can't build a new life inside the same space that keeps you small. The first rule of focus: control your environment before it controls you. Everything around you either sharpens or dulls your attention. The people, the sounds, the lighting, the order of your space, they all feed or drain your mind. Clean your desk, close your doors, put the phone in another room. Don't negotiate with distractions, starve them, because what you starve eventually dies. The second rule: compress your effort. You don't need to work all day. You need to work deeply for short bursts. 90 minutes of undisturbed creation will always beat 9 hours of half attention. Your brain doesn't crave endless activity. It craves rhythm, bursts of effort, followed by stillness. Like a muscle, your focus grows in tension and release. Work, then walk. Think, then breathe. Push, then pause. The third rule: train your attention the way athletes train their bodies. Focus is endurance of the mind. When you catch your thoughts drifting, bring them back, again and again. That repetition builds strength. Every time you return, you prove that your mind belongs to you. The fourth rule: design your triggers. Light a candle before work. Sit in the same chair. Open the same playlist or none at all. These are anchors, signals to your brain that it's time to lock in. When you treat focus like a ritual, your body follows automatically. The fifth rule: move your energy. The body and mind are not separate machines. A sluggish body breeds a foggy mind. Lift weights, breathe deeply, get sunlight, move your blood. When your physiology is strong, your attention becomes stable. And then there's silence, the amplifier. In silence, you meet resistance. You'll hear every doubt, every unfinished thought, every emotion you've been avoiding. That's why most people can't sit still. It forces them to face themselves. But on the other side of that discomfort lies clarity, because when your mind stops screaming, you start hearing what actually matters. Your next step, your next move, your true voice. Every great creator, writer, athlete, architect, inventor understood this. They didn't have more ideas. They simply stayed long enough with one idea until it revealed its truth. That's what focus really is, the willingness to stay when others escape. It's the ability to keep your eyes on the process long enough to make progress visible. It's not the first thought that creates something great. It's the 10th revision of the same thought that does. Focus rewards those who linger, those who don't rush the outcome, because every masterpiece, every business, every body, every breakthrough was built in the quiet repetition of the same deliberate act. You don't need motivation to focus. You need momentum. And momentum begins with a single motion. Start with 5 minutes of deep work. No interruptions. Then extend it. day by day, you'll notice that the world gets quieter and your confidence gets louder. And that's the secret no one tells you. The mind obeys what you train it to love. If you teach it to love depth, it will crave it. If you keep feeding it noise, it will never sit still. So train it, shape it, guard it, because focus, at its core, is self-respect in motion. It's the declaration that your energy belongs to you, and you decide where it goes. Part 4. Mastery through obsession. Every person who ever reached greatness shared one trait: obsession. Not talent, not luck, not opportunity, obsession. The unrelenting decision to lock in so deeply that the rest of the world fades away. Focus becomes mastery when it turns into obsession. It's when your purpose consumes you in the best way possible, when everything else starts to orbit around one thing. You stop caring about what people think. You stop chasing approval. You stop explaining yourself. You're too immersed in your own becoming to look sideways. That's where evolution happens, in the tunnel. When you've narrowed your vision so sharply that distractions can't even find you anymore, you've got to fall in love with the repetition that others call boring. Because the truth is, boredom is where most people quit and where the few rise. Focus is not exciting in the moment. It's costly. It costs comfort, convenience, and company. But every sacrifice sharpens the blade. If you want to master anything, you have to let it consume you. Let it build you, shape you, and sometimes break you. Because in breaking, it forges resilience, the kind that can't be faked. The world will call you extreme. They'll say you've gone too far. That's fine. Every genius, every champion, every icon was once labeled obsessed before they were called great. And here's the secret. Obsession doesn't burn you out. Distraction does. It's the constant mental switching, the endless scattering of your attention that drains your energy and kills your joy. But when you lock in, truly lock in, something changes. The noise stops. The fatigue disappears. You enter the current. That current is flow, the place where time stops existing, where your breath syncs with the work, and where effort becomes effortless. It's the highest form of focus, the merging of identity with action. When you're in it, there's no thinking, no overanalyzing, no hesitation, just motion. But you don't reach that state by chasing it. You reach it through discipline. You reach it by showing up so consistently that your brain starts to trust you. It starts to understand that when you sit down, you're here to work, not to scroll, not to check, not to quit early. And that's what separates the amateurs from the masters. The amateur works when it feels good. The master works until it's good. One waits for permission, the other creates proof. You've got to decide what kind of person you want to be. The one who dips their toe in the water, or the one who dives in until there's no turning back. Because the deeper you go, the fewer distractions survive. Obsession is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's when your thoughts, actions, and habits point toward the same North Star. You become a single, unified force. And when you reach that point, nothing external can compete. Every great creator knows this feeling. The writer who loses track of hours in front of the page. The athlete training before sunrise. the architect sketching the same line over and over until it feels right. They all live in that same current. It's not madness, it's devotion. Devotion to progress, devotion to mastery, devotion to the work that defines them. And it's available to you too. All it takes is the courage to eliminate everything that isn't part of the mission. Because when your focus becomes pure, the world rearranges itself around you. People move out of your way. Opportunities appear. The noise fades. You stop chasing life, and life starts following your lead. That's the power of obsession. It's not chaos. It's control at the deepest level. It's when everything you are finally points in one direction. Part 5. The cost of distraction. Every time you lose focus, you pay a price. It doesn't show up as a bill. It shows up as regret. The cost of distraction is invisible in the moment. It feels small. One quick scroll, one short break, one harmless detour. But stack 1,000 of those moments and you've built a wall between you and everything you said you wanted. Distraction steals your potential one notification at a time. It robs you of hours you'll never get back, opportunities you'll never notice, and progress you'll never make. You don't need anyone to sabotage you. You're doing it yourself every time you pick convenience over commitment. Every time you let the urge to escape win over the discipline to endure. The truth is, distraction is comfort in disguise. It gives you a false sense of safety because it keeps you busy without forcing you to grow. But safety is the slowest form of self-destruction. The moment you trade challenge for comfort, you start dying in small doses. You stop evolving, you stop learning, and you stop becoming. Every time you choose distraction, you train your mind to quit. You teach it that boredom is a threat, that stillness is pain, that instant pleasure is the solution. But boredom isn't pain, it's the door to focus. And most people never walk through it because they'd rather stay entertained than enlightened. You know this feeling, that restless urge to open your phone mid-task, to check messages while you're talking to someone, to drift away even when something important is in front of you. That's not random, that's conditioning. And the only way to break conditioning is to face it, to feel the itch and do nothing, to feel the restlessness and stay anyway. That's how you reclaim control, by refusing to obey the impulse. Because distraction doesn't go away when you delete apps. It goes away when you stop needing them. When your focus becomes strong enough that the noise no longer tempts you. You can't afford to keep living scattered. The world doesn't reward people who almost did something. It rewards those who finish what they start. Every unfinished project, every unread book, every half effort, each one is a leak in your energy. Close the loops. Finish the things you said you would. Free the mental space that's being drained by incompletion. You want peace? Do what you said you'd do. You want confidence? Keep the promises you made to yourself. Focus is built on integrity, on being able to trust yourself to follow through. And the ones who make it, the ones who win, aren't better. They're just consistent. They don't wait for motivation. They build momentum through motion. The enemy isn't distraction. The enemy is the belief that you can keep indulging it and still expect results. You can't. You have to make a decision. Either live in fragments or become whole. Either spread your energy thin or direct it like a blade. When you understand what distraction truly costs, focus stops feeling like sacrifice. It becomes self-preservation, because the more focused you become, the more you realize how little you actually need. You stop chasing everything and start mastering one thing. You stop running in circles and start moving forward with intent. And that's when you finally feel it, the shift, when your energy comes back, when your mind quiets down, when progress starts compounding. That's what happens when you stop paying the price of distraction and start earning the reward of discipline. Part 6. The discipline of attention. Focus isn't a feeling, it's a discipline. It's not about waiting for the right mood or the perfect conditions. It's about showing up whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is what keeps your attention where it belongs when your emotions try to pull it away. It's the bridge between intention and execution. Most people confuse interest with commitment. They focus only when it's convenient. But the disciplined treat focus like oxygen. It's not optional, it's survival. You will never rise above the level of your focus. Not your ambition, not your intelligence, not your dreams, just your ability to stay with what matters long enough to see it through. Discipline means protecting your attention like it's sacred, because it is. Every moment of attention spent on the wrong thing is a piece of your life you'll never reclaim. The disciplined understand that motivation fades, but momentum compounds. You don't train discipline through grand gestures. You build it through small daily repetitions, showing up on the days you'd rather not, finishing the task even when no one's watching, doing it right when you could have done it fast. That's where character grows, in silence, repetition, and resistance. Discipline is not about intensity, it's about consistency. You don't need 100 perfect days. You need 1,000 imperfect ones where you refused to stop. The disciplined mind learns to separate emotion from action. You don't ask yourself how you feel. You ask what needs to be done, and then you do it. That's how you train focus, not by waiting for clarity, but by creating it through movement. Every day, the world will hand you 100 reasons to drift, but the disciplined decide once and protect that decision daily. You only need to choose your priorities once. Every other no becomes automatic. There's a quote: "A man with a deadline and focus will always defeat the man with time and distractions." Because one works with urgency, the other wastes it. If you want to master attention, stop negotiating with yourself. Stop debating whether or not you're ready. Discipline means the decision has already been made. You just execute. Your brain will always look for the easy way out. It's designed for comfort, not greatness. But discipline trains it to obey a higher purpose. It tells the mind, we're doing this because it matters, not because it feels good. Every time you push through resistance, your mind learns respect. Every time you delay gratification, your confidence expands. Every time you stay when you could leave, you earn trust with yourself. That's how self-belief is built. Not through affirmations, but through evidence. You don't become confident by saying you will. You become confident by proving that you can. Discipline brings you to that proof, and the more you practice it, the quieter the noise becomes. Because once your mind learns obedience, distraction loses its power. Focus becomes your default. Stillness becomes your weapon. You stop chasing the next thing and start mastering the thing in front of you. The truth is, you can have anything in life if you can hold your attention on it long enough. But most people let their focus expire before their results arrive. Don't let that be you. Don't let impatience steal your progress. Keep your eyes locked forward. Keep your rhythm steady. Keep your energy guarded. The disciplined don't hope. They build. They don't wish. They work. And when the world asks how they did it, the answer is always the same. I stayed focused. Part 7. The Power of Isolation. Isolation is not punishment. It's preparation. The world teaches you to fear being alone. It sells you constant connection, endless conversation, infinite scrolling, all disguised as belonging. But there's a difference between connection and noise, between solitude and loneliness. Isolation is where focus is reborn. It's the quiet space where your thoughts stop competing and start organizing. It's where your voice gets louder than the world's. The strongest people didn't find clarity in crowds. They found it in silence. They disappeared to build. They locked in when nobody was watching. And that's why the world pays attention when they finally speak. Solitude strips you down. It removes validation, opinions, and external mirrors. It forces you to meet the unfiltered version of yourself, the one who can't hide behind likes, compliments, or distractions. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You'll crave noise, crave conversation, crave escape. But the longer you sit with yourself, the more you realize that solitude is strength, not absence. When you isolate, you stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop seeking permission to focus on what matters. You start becoming dangerous, not to others, but to your own limitations. Because here's the truth. Greatness grows in private long before it's recognized in public. Every masterpiece, every body, every empire was first built in silence. What the world calls overnight success is just the public unveiling of years spent alone with purpose. Isolation is a forge. It burns away the unnecessary until only your essence remains. It makes your vision sharp and your will unshakable. But you have to choose it. You have to separate before you can elevate. There's a kind of peace that only arrives when you no longer depend on stimulation. When you can sit in a room, no music, no messages, no movement, and feel complete. That's not emptiness. That's power. In isolation, your senses recalibrate. You start to notice the subtleties of your own mind, the thoughts that matter, the ones that lie, the patterns that hold you back. You gain awareness that no podcast or quote could ever give you. Most people never reach that depth because they never stay long enough. They run from quiet like it's danger. But the quiet is where transformation happens. The gym builds your body. The silence builds your soul. There's a moment in isolation where you stop missing people and start meeting yourself. And when you meet yourself, truly, you understand why focus is sacred. Because you finally see how much of your life was being lived for everyone else. The point of isolation isn't to cut off the world forever. It's to return stronger, clearer, more intentional. You come back knowing what to say yes to and what to reject without hesitation. You don't need to explain that decision to anyone. The ones who understand are focused too. Every hour spent alone with your mission is a deposit into your future. Every distraction you turn down is proof of alignment. Because isolation isn't loneliness, it's leverage. It's how you become so centered that nothing external can shake you again. Be alone long enough to rebuild your voice. Be alone long enough to recognize peace as progress. Be alone long enough to know that the world's chaos is optional. The world calls it isolation. You'll call it becoming. Part 8. The weight of consistency. Focus without consistency dies in flashes. You can be sharp for a day, disciplined for a week, or obsessed for a month. But if you can't sustain it, it fades. The people who make it aren't the most talented. They're the ones who keep showing up long after the excitement is gone. Consistency is where focus becomes permanent. It's where vision becomes reality. It's what turns a burst of clarity into a lifestyle. Everyone loves the idea of focus until they realize it means repetition. Doing the same thing over and over when nobody's watching. Fixing what's already good because it could be better. Perfecting what no one will ever notice. That's where most people quit. Because consistency is heavy. It doesn't reward you immediately. It asks for patience when you crave proof. But that weight you feel is the exact pressure that forges progress. Every day you show up, you add another layer to your foundation. You don't see it, but it's there, stacking, solidifying, multiplying quietly behind the scenes. Consistency doesn't demand intensity, it demands loyalty. You don't have to move mountains in a day, you just have to refuse to stop climbing. Every day you repeat the act of focus, you prove your future is worth it. Because focus is a muscle, and every repetition builds endurance. Even the smallest effort counts. A page written, a workout finished, a distraction ignored. These moments look small, but together they compound into something unstoppable. That's how momentum is born. Not from massive leaps, but from consistent steps. And once momentum takes hold, it starts working for you. You wake up one day and realize you don't have to force yourself anymore. You've become the kind of person who simply does. You can't fake that. You can't rush that. Consistency has to be earned through the friction of repetition. There will be days where you feel empty, when nothing clicks, when your work feels pointless. Those are the most important days, because that's when focus turns into faith. The faith that what you're building will be worth it, even when you can't see it yet. The difference between failure and mastery is that the master just didn't stop. They kept moving through the dull, through the slow, through the unseen. They stopped waiting for inspiration and started relying on systems. Because inspiration is seasonal, systems are permanent. So build habits that don't need emotion to operate. Wake up and move before you think. Set a schedule that decides for you. Treat focus like clockwork, something that happens whether or not you feel ready. Consistency turns focus from an act into an identity. You stop saying, "I'm trying to focus," and start saying, "This is who I am." And when that shift happens, when focus becomes who you are, You stop chasing motivation. You stop waiting for the perfect day. You realize the secret was never intensity. It was staying power. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. Consistency flips that. It compounds quietly until it looks like a miracle. But it's not a miracle. It's math. It's effort multiplied by time. It's patience multiplied by belief. If you stay consistent long enough, focus stops being something you practice. It becomes the air you breathe. Part 9. The Mirror of Progress. Progress doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't always feel like forward motion. Sometimes it feels like stillness, doubt, or exhaustion. But that's part of the process. The mind loves big results, but growth hides in small shifts. You'll look in the mirror and see the same face, but the reflection is changing in ways the eye can't yet detect. Progress isn't instant. It's cumulative. It builds in the background while you question whether it's working. That's why focus matters, because it allows you to stay through the silent phases, the moments when you can't see the return, but you're still planting the seeds. Every focused hour compounds, every disciplined day stacks, and one morning you'll wake up surrounded by results that feel sudden, even though you've been building them for years. You'll realize the people who doubted you weren't wrong. They were just impatient. They mistook silence for stagnation. But silence is where progress brews. Focus is like gravity. The longer you sustain it, the more everything begins to orbit around it. Your body adapts. Your thoughts refine. Your habits sharpen. You become a force that bends reality toward what you want. But here's the paradox. The more progress you make, the easier it is to lose focus. Success whispers comfort. It tells you you've earned a break, that you've done enough. And that's how most people fall off, by celebrating too early. True focus requires humility. The humility to start every day like you're still a beginner. The humility to stay hungry even after you've eaten. Progress is not proof that you've arrived. It's proof that your system works. So you keep going. You refine, you adjust, you stay locked in. The mirror doesn't lie. It shows you exactly how much attention you've invested. If your progress feels slow, it's not because you're unlucky, it's because your focus has been divided. Every half effort has a half result. When you see someone moving faster, it's not because they're smarter, it's because their focus is purer. They've stopped negotiating with their distractions. They've stopped questioning their pace. They just move, deliberately, relentlessly, quietly. Progress doesn't care about speed. It cares about consistency. You can go fast for a week or steady for a year. The latter always wins. So measure your growth differently, not by what you've achieved, but by how long you've sustained attention without interruption. Because that's the real metric of mastery. The length of time you can hold your focus on something before your mind wanders. The greatest performers in every field share this trait. They can go deep for long stretches without breaking state. That's the ultimate edge. Not knowledge, not opportunity, not luck. Focused duration. When you stay long enough, the work starts to work for you. Momentum carries you through. Doubt loses power. resistance fades. You become addicted, not to results, but to the rhythm of progress. The daily grind becomes meditative. You stop looking for the finish line because you realize mastery has none. Every moment of focus builds a future version of you that others won't recognize. They'll call it talent. They'll call it natural ability. But you'll know it was repetition. It was patience. It was focus. And the mirror will reflect it all. Part 10. Living as the focused one. When focus becomes who you are, life starts to look different. Noise loses its pull. You stop chasing everything that moves. You begin to live with precision. Every word, every move, every breath chosen with intention. You notice things others miss. You hear silence as clearly as sound. You start feeling time differently, stretched when wasted, condensed when used well. The world around you doesn't slow down, you do. You stop reacting to everything and start creating from stillness. And in that stillness, your power multiplies. Living as the focused one means you operate from calm, not chaos. You no longer need to prove your worth through busyness or noise. You let your results speak because your presence already does. People will ask how you stay so composed. They won't understand that your peace isn't a performance, it's precision. You've trained your attention to ignore the meaningless, to magnify the meaningful. You'll see distraction for what it truly is, cheap energy, and you'll stop trading your potential for it. You'll stop needing validation. You'll stop explaining your silence. Because the focused one moves differently. You understand that every word you speak either builds or breaks your direction. So you speak less, act more, and let your focus do the talking. There's a serenity that comes from that. A still confidence, not arrogance, clarity. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it. And you refuse to waste energy convincing anyone else. You learn to walk alone, to build quietly, to enjoy the simplicity of a single task done well. And then something shifts. Your presence starts influencing others. People around you begin to move slower, think clearer, breathe deeper. Your focus becomes contagious because human beings mirror energy. And when your energy is anchored, others feel it. You become the calm in the chaos, the signal in the noise, the reminder that peace and productivity can coexist. The focused one doesn't live to impress. They live to express purpose through discipline. They wake up with clarity and sleep with peace because their day had direction. That's the highest form of success. Not money, not fame, not validation. Clarity. Knowing where your energy goes and what it's building. You don't need applause when you can feel alignment. You don't need noise when silence feels like progress. When you live like this, everything becomes cleaner. You eat with focus. You train with focus. You speak with focus. You stop multitasking through life. You give every moment your full presence. And that's why life starts giving back in ways others never experience. Opportunities begin to find you because the universe favors the focused. It rewards those who are intentional, who don't waste what they're given. And in that alignment, you realize something profound. The goal was never just to focus on the task. It was to become the kind of person who can. A person whose attention, energy, and purpose are inseparable. a person who moves through the world with precision and peace. That's what mastery feels like. Not noise, not chaos, not endless chase, just presence. The kind of presence that doesn't need to speak loudly because it already radiates power. You've reached that state now, the zone between control and surrender. The point where effort disappears and focus takes over, where thought and action merge and you become one with what you do. That's how you operate when you're aligned with purpose. That's how you live when focus becomes your nature. And from here on out, everything you touch carries that same precision. Because the world bends to the one who's fully here. That's not philosophy, that's focus.